day and welcome to Alena Media TV. We are broadcasting from Toronto, Canada. I am Elsa Abraham. In today's episode, we are going to give you COVID-19 updates. Now, let's go for our headlines. The world has crossed 1 million COVID-19 deaths. And in our second story, the US has given Africa 35 billion price tag to end the acute phase of the pandemic. In our last story, thousands of African migrants returned from Yemen, assisted by the International Organization for Migration in Djibouti. Let's go for a quick commercial break. When we come back, is our news in details. Welcome back from that short commercial break. The world has hit a total case load of 33.1 million with recovered cases of 22.9 million and death rates are now 1 million. With the number of confirmed COVID-19 cases worldwide surpassing 33 million, the 1 million coronavirus-related deaths mark should shortly be reached as the situation has worsened in several countries. The United States remains the country with the most contaminations, with close to 7 million confirmed cases and 200,000 deaths. India, who has struggled to stop an incredible surge in cases the past 3 months, has seen the number of deaths climb to 100,000. The World Health Organization said that Africa has reported both the lowest number of COVID-19 cases and deaths in the world, and that fears the pandemic might devastate the continent have so far failed to materialize. Certainly, the reported numbers and most importantly, the reported deaths from Africa are low, and they are the lowest in the world. So yes, it is not a catastrophe by means, and I would say, and again, I have said it, that Africa has many lessons to teach the world about how to be resilient, how to be creative, assures the World Health Organization Emergencies Chief, Dr. Michelle Ryan. Ryan credited humanitarian agencies and governments in Africa for the protection of the vulnerable populations such as those living with HIV and refugees. The strength of the community health workers across Africa has proven helpful in detecting and stopping the virus from spreading, according to the World Health Organization. The UN Health Agency Emergencies Chief did, however, stress that Africa needs to remain on guard, noting that the virus has had different impacts across the continent's 55 countries. However, coronavirus in African member states reporting on COVID-19 cases are now 1,459,714, with death rates now 35,000. In Eritrea has a total case of 369 with recovered cases of 330 and 0 deaths. South Sudan has a case of 2,686 with deaths 49 and recovered cases are now 1,290. Sudan also have 13,606 with death rates now rising to 836 with recovered cases of 6,764. Somalia also have a total case of 3,588 with deaths now 99 and recovered cases 2,946. Moving straight to our next story for today, US has given a $35 billion price tag to end the acute phase of the pandemic. The ACT Accelerator is the only global initiative offering a solution to speed up the end of the COVID-19 pandemic. Launched on 24th April 2020, it combines public and private sector and expertise, and institutions from around the world to accelerate the development, regulate, approval, scale up, delivery, and equitable allocation of COVID-19 test kits, treatments, and vaccines. The ACT accelerator needs US $35 billion to meet the goal of developing new tools and producing and delivering 2 billion vaccine doses, 245 million treatments, and 500 million diagnostic tests over the next year. With the largest portfolio of COVID-19 tools in the world, investing in the ACT accelerator increases the probability of being able to assess the winning candidate and hedges the risk that countries that have already entered individual bilateral agreements end up with products that are not viable. The economic rationale for investment is clear. The global economy is expected to contract by US $7 trillion in 2020 as a result of the pandemic. ACT's accelerator's financing gap is now $35 billion US, fully financing the ACT accelerator to help shorten the duration of the crisis would pay back this investment in less than 36 hours once global mobility and trade are restored. ACT accelerator total funding needs represents less than 1% of what G20 governments have already committed to domestic economic stimulation packages. While many countries have made significant investments in domestic R&D and on domestic economic stimulus packages, these investments will not on their own address severe COVID-19 diseases, the root cause of the crisis, and the key to restarting all aspects of the economies. A lot of innovation for and sufficient access to efficient treatments and vaccines would hold up the recovery for all countries. Now to the last story of today. Thousands of African migrants returned from Yemen, assisted by International Organization for Immigration in Djibouti. Returned to Djibouti after failing to reach the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia due to COVID-19 movement restrictions, border closures, and extreme danger along this migratory route. More than 2,000 African migrants who have arrived from Yemen over the last 3 weeks are being assisted by the International Organization for Migration in Djibouti, the Horn of Africa. The migrants from Ethiopia, Somalia, Eritrea, including children as young as 8 years old, returned to Djibouti after failing to reach the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia due to COVID-19 movement restrictions, border closures, and extreme danger along this migratory route. They arrived hungry, tired, and in need of medical assistance, making the treacherous boat journey back across the Gulf of Aden and then walking for days to the town of Obok through the Djiboutian desert where temperatures reach 40 degrees Celsius. Many were forced to pay smugglers who often abandoned them in the desert without food and water. Several of the migrants said they witnessed others die along the way due to dehydration. IOM has helped and treated hundreds of migrants along the way over the last few months. Of concern of the IOM is despite COVID-19 and its impact, some migrants are still trying to make the journey to Yemen, where they risk danger, abuse, and detention. The IOM Djibouti and the government of Djibouti are providing emergency medical care, food, water, tents, counseling, and COVID-19 awareness and prevention since mobility restriction imposes due to COVID-19 stranded thousands of migrants in Yemen, leading to mass returns to Djibouti, a major country of transit for migrants in the region. An additional 1,239 Ethiopian migrants have been stranded for months across Djibouti, unable to reach Yemen or return home. A quarantine site established by the authorities with the support of the IOM and other partners have been set up to help reduce the risk of COVID-19 spreading among themselves and their communities. Djibouti's health minister has been providing COVID-19 tests to migrants in quarantine. It is an overwhelming situation for a small country with a population of less than 1 million people and fewer economic and human resources than most nations in the region. According to Across the Border in Ethiopia, which is home to many of the migrants, an estimated 8,700 have been received from Djibouti since the start of COVID-19. The government of Ethiopia has been providing food, water, soaps, sanitary items, beddings, and clothing, among other types of assistance for its returning nationals. The IOM in August launched an amount of $84 million appeal to fund its regional migrant response plan for the Horn of Africa and Yemen to respond to the needs of migrants coming back to Africa from Yemen, the thousands affected in Ethiopia, Somalia, and Djibouti, and over 14,000 currently stranded in Yemen. Djibouti is facing a colossal humanitarian challenge for a small country, Mohamed Abdikar, IOM's regional director, East and Horn of Africa, said from Obok. What is required is an unfeigned response from the international community, governments in the region, and our partners in the Gulf nations to address the issue of young men and women risking their lives to reach the Gulf in search of jobs and opportunities. Until then, we will continue to see these kinds of situations. That's why IOM's Regional Migrant Response Plan appeal, supported by the including 27 other humanitarian partners assisting migrants along this route, is so important. Of concern to IOM is despite COVID-19 and its impact, some migrants are still trying to make the journey to Yemen, where they risk danger, abuse, and detention. The IOM is advocating humanitarian access to those in need of urgent aid and for the resumption of voluntary humanitarian return flights to assist the many who wish to return home and are stranded in the Horn of Africa region, Djibouti. This is where we end today's episode. Please like, share, comment. Don't forget to give us your thoughts on migration issues in your country. Don't forget also to subscribe, hit the notification button so you'll be notified anytime we make a post. Thanks for watching.